So welcome also in my name. I'm Violeta Bulc. I'm a founder and curator of Eco-Civilization Movement, and it's an enormous pleasure to host yet another discussion on mental health. This time, the power of social circles, healing through communities. And as many of you have expressed already in the pre-session chit-chat, this is a very important topic close to your heart. So I'm really very much looking forward to today's thoughts, experiences, and of course, the guidance for the way forward. This whole year of mental health is brought to you by three of us. Dear friends who decided that it's time to bring this important topic forward to the global public. And in spite of being a challenging topic, we keep going every month. And we've covered a lot of topics. And Lefteria and Rajni have done an enormous job in bringing the right people and the right content forward in order to help us to create a systemic picture of what mental health is all about. What is really, what drives us in order to, for bringing this topic forward? We all agreed that mental health is a pillar of resilience and sustainability and not adequately addressed in public. So that's why we decided that we're going to put it forward. We want to break the stigma around this mental health topic. And we do understand that this is one of the prerequisites for a better quality of life. And of course, what we really would like to is to empower stewards of societal and civilizational change to feel comfortable addressing the challenges related to mental health and, of course, indirectly related to our lives. This is the seventh session that we are hosting as part of Eco-Civilization Movement. Really in short, Eco-Civilization Movement is a disruptive cluster of people who care. Caring is one of the essential words that motivates us to come forward, to volunteer, to spend our time and our resources to address topics that we feel are hidden topics of societies being on local, regional, or global scale. We hope to create a safe space for engagement, collaboration, and innovation, and possibly contribute a little piece to the emerging foundation of the future civilization. The basic element around which we gather and create our content is our model, Eco-Civilization model, which is inviting everyone that in order to do progressive projects, in order to deliver on progressive thoughts and innovative new views of life, society, planet, and the entire cosmos, we need to restructure ourselves as well. We need to dare to challenge the structures within which we deliver those profound new steps. And this is just a teaser, really, that yes, we can imagine organizational structure of our societies, communities in a different way. Imagine that instead of Ministry for Education, you have a Ministry for Beings, and so on, so on, so on, which will, of course, in a completely different way manifest what's important for the core entities of life that we know of, which are beings, societies, lands, consciousness, and relationship as a glue that keeps us going and is constantly keeping the other four in a dynamic state of evolution. So in this particular session, we will be focusing on society. So today's session, of course, will have an impact on others, but the focus, the zoom is on society and communities and the way how mental health relates with this topic. In the search for answers, and really in brief, it's becoming clearer and clearer that part of human well-being is also our stable mental health, which is the prerequisite for sustainability, resilience, and I don't want to be too dramatic, but yes, for survival as well. And we got to acknowledge, and this is where today's session will invite us into, is that above all, we are social beings. Yeah. And loneliness and isolation are correlated with stress, inflammation, and high risk of diseases. So our instability, really emotional instability, spiritual instability, ether instability really challenges our physical presence as well. And when we talk and really honestly speak to each other, we admit that social circles shape our mental, emotional, and even physical health. And these two elements were very obviously addressed in our life. Recently, COVID really pushed the first point, right, to the extremes. We were able to experience how this socialism, isolation is negatively impacting our well-being. And you might have this kind of childhood memories, but mine are so vivid because my first years of life have been really strongly shaped by beautiful communities around me, gave me the point of self-awareness, confidence, and affirmation of that I'm all right, that whoever I am, I'm okay. So nobody can take that away from me, no matter what happened later on in my life. I always had this childhood confidence, and I still have it inside me, with the respect for elders and just the playful attitude towards all my peers. So yes, the social circles do shape our state. And I'll say just this one more thing because it attracted me from a systemic thinker point of view, that in order to address this properly in the future, this year of mental health will not be enough. So Lefteria and Rajni, we've already talked about possible micro or micro ecosystems of trust, compassion, and renewal, basically creating these healing circles that will continue and hopefully overcome just the mental challenges and move on into healing also the entire society, planet, and the way how we relate to the rest of the existence around us. So bringing the human heart and nervous system into a sync, we often say, and this is a nice correlation to another year of leadership challenge, when we say that the new style of leadership will be possible only when we connect our hearts and minds, because minds are short-term focused and only heart can give us a long-term perspective. But how can you do that if your mental health is not in balance, right? So this is so closely related. And I hope this message will go out. I hope this will be also the message of the book that we're working on. And as you all know, you're invited to contribute to the book, Mental Health, The Soul of Humanity, where we invite all the authors to submit it. We really want to get it out at the end of first quarter of 2026. So yes, please start submitting your articles as soon as possible. All the speakers, all the moderators, and if you as a participant, if this is your field of expertise, or if you feel very strongly about this topic, please contact Rajni and she will share with you the forum within which we hope that, to receive the articles. They don't need to be more than 3 to 5 pages, so we don't want to have extensive research projects published, but we really would like to bring the essence of how we relate to this topic and our experiences to the topics forward. While I'm saying that, I got to mention the next session that we're going to have, which will be on September 24th, Cultivating Radiant Wellbeing, Self-Care Practices for Mental Health, which will be very hands-on, practical tools which you could use in order to bring your, or I can use to bring my mental health in balance. And the last message for you is, as I mentioned before, there is another in parallel, another yearly topic, the Leadership Challenge. And we meet on September 3rd. What defines new leaders is the topic, and it will be moderated by Dr. Andrea Kudrin with 6 of her guests, where they will be discussing this topic, which is, of course, one of big challenges because the number of leadership schools is growing, the number of classes and sessions for the training sessions for leaderships are growing. And look around, you know, all societies are falling apart, or especially the Western societies. And so what's wrong with this concept of leadership then? So anyway, this is from me. So now I'm gonna pass the word back to Eleftheria and Rajni, and here we are at the beginning of the real session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Violeta, for that powerful introduction to our theme of the year, and specifically us gathering today on this beautiful and passionate topic. I would like to jump straight in and introduce one of our first speakers that we've invited, and her name is Julia Souza, and she is a climate science communicator that grounds her efforts in community-led work and studies the intersectionality of the polycrisis. Julie was born and raised in Rockville, Maryland, as a first-generation Brazilian American. Her passion for intersectional environmentalism stems from her relationships with others and the planet, which she channels into her eco-emotions research. She published research with academic institutions, journals, and climate nonprofits. She continues to present her work at international conferences and local community gatherings around New York City. She first found Good Grief Network by cross paths with Laura online and now serves the development coordinator. Julie currently lives in New York City with her partner and spends her time enjoying a cup of tea with a pocket sign. Julie, welcome, and we would love to hear all about the Good Grief Network.
Everyone, thank you so much for having me today. I'm so excited to share more. I'll share my presentation with you all so we can get started. So let me just figure out all the details here. Bear with me. Okay. Can you see my screen? Wonderful. First of all, thank you again for having me. I'm really excited to talk about the Good Grief Network. Before I jump into that, I wanted to just chat a little bit more about myself and how I got into this work. I was shocked to realize that climate change and humans are causing it. I felt anxious and angry and sad, and I was feeling those things isolated. I learned that despite my feelings of isolation, it's actually common to not only feel those feelings, but to be feeling them alone. And everyone has feelings about their environment, the planet we live on, and our relationships with one another. And so I dedicated myself to learning more via my climate mental health research. As mentioned, I've presented at conference and I've worked with nonprofit organizations such as Climate Mental Health Network and been at those academic institutions. But from researching this topic, I realized that my knowledge was not the same thing as actually feeling my feelings. And so Good Grief Network not only welcomed that, but introduced feeling and community to me. And so in 2017, Laura Schmidt, Amy Lewis Rowe crafted GGN's flagship program, which is 10 steps to resilience and empowerment in a chaotic climate. And when I joined the organization, I took that program and I realized how transformative it is to be honest and vulnerable and witnessed in that honest and vulnerability. And so in 2021, the nonprofit was founded to carve more spaces for folks to experience this program. We offer peer-to-peer support that serves not just individuals, but communities experiencing this eco-distress and collective trauma from social and ecological injustices. I was thrilled. I feel like I'd finally found a group of people that could understand the challenges that the world was facing and talk about them together. But with all that being said, those challenges are still there. And in 2025, we've had over 5,500 good grievers in our network, and they've experienced at least one of our incredible offerings. We've expanded our programs to include a facilitation training and membership so that you can learn to bring this 10-step program to your own community, a 5-step program specifically for teens and young adults, and so many other ways we've connected folks from around the globe. And I feel like if I've learned one thing, it's that coming together and continuing to choose to come together has really been one of the most powerful and impactful ways in navigating the poly crisis. It's self-responsive, it builds community resilience, it builds generative action, all the things that I think are incredibly necessary as we navigate this changing planet. And so I wanted to do a short plug. We hope you join our community. We hope you become a good griever. We have programs coming up, but if you're watching this recording later, we always have programs going, and we hope you come to join us. Everyone's welcome to participate starting either Thursday, September 4th or Sunday, September 14th. You can sign up with those QR links, but we can also chat more at the end of the presentation. And so I hope you email us. I hope you talk to us. I hope you see what else we have going on. Subscribe to our newsletter, because this is really the way that we can stay connected. Come to our events, come join us, be in community with us, because it really does happen together. Thank you.
Violeta, go ahead.
I cannot, but because this was a great promotional speech, but I'd really like to learn from you. How do you think the mental health and communities are related? What is your experience? How do you feel it in your heart? Because that's what we're here for. That's what we want to discuss.
Yes, I think that's an excellent question. And genuinely, I do feel that the emotions that we experience when we experience them in isolation really are the antithesis to communities. The vulnerability, the honesty that comes from sharing with one another in community, the power of being able to say, I'm scared, or I'm sad, or I'm angry, and I don't need anyone to necessarily fix those feelings. I just need someone to see me in sharing that, and see me in being able to be honest about that. And not only that, but then also being able to do the same for other people. I think there's an incredibly healing element to the fact that not only can we share with one another in our feelings, but that I can also be there to witness other people when they have that same moment of bravery. Uh, and for me, that's really what got me into this work. That's really what continues to motivate me to do this work. It is why I believe in the power of sharing spaces and grief tending, because it's there. Our grief can come out, even if we don't want it to. Those moments where we say, why am I crying right now? Why am I feeling these intense emotions? I see that as a moment of, oh, I need to be with people that remind me the importance of being in touch with who I am in this experience. I hope that answers your question a little bit more.
But do you think that communities are properly equipped to deliver what individual is seeking?
Could you clarify your question for me a little bit?
I mean, you explained well the point of view of individual, what the needs are, and but communities as a beings, do you think they're equipped well to bring this comfort and bring what the individuals need into the circle? Or what is missing in communities to be actually the healing circles?
Genuinely, I believe that there's a stigma around being honest, being vulnerable. I mentioned a little bit in the beginning this feeling of isolation and how it's a common feeling. We're seeing people go into unfortunate bouts of depression, suicidality, and I think this is in part due to the fact that our communities are not unified, nor are they supportive of the idea that being honest and vulnerable with each other is messy. It is hard to share how you're feeling. It is hard to be honest with yourself about that. And then it's even harder to vocalize it so other people can be there for you. And so the infrastructure is certainly not in place, I believe, as to where it should be to support one another in that. Community work isn't one that happens overnight. It's one that takes time to grow. And I see the foundation of that as one that truly is necessary, but also not entirely built on just our problems. I think coming together to talk about the things that we need help with is incredibly important and very necessary. But it's also important to talk about the things that we love, that bring us joy, that make us happy, that we do things together that make us happy. When there isn't a public space for you to enjoy the fresh air, the plants, the trees, the local animals, that impacts how we feel. Those things aren't just there, they are cultivated, they're cared for by groups of people that live in our vicinity. Those are ultimately our community. Those are the people that live near us, that live around us, that are most important to be together with, because when the next climate disaster comes and it's hard to face, such as a flood or a hurricane or a tornado, the people in our vicinity are really the ones that will be there to lean with us. They're the ones experiencing that together. And as I mentioned before, it's so hard to be vulnerable. It truly is. But it's also an important aspect of our survival. It's a systemic problem, and it's also one that can be hard for us to face in our day-to-day life. There's an element of both in it. So yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you. Back to you.
Yeah. Julie, I have a couple of questions for you. And my first question is related with
Maybe we can go back to the full screen that we can see each other talking.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Julie, my first question is, how does this Good Grief Network adapt its program to the non-Western cultural context? Like, I'm from India, where grief and resilience are understood differently. Asians, I mean, it's an emotion. It's a universal emotion. It's a human emotion. Grief, resilience, we all experience it. It's an emotion. It's a strength also, weak resilient. But then in cultural context, how do you adapt your program based on different cultures?
That's an excellent question. And what we do at Good Grief Network is our programs are shaped by the people that facilitate them and the people that come in our room. So our facilitators, we make an effort to train folks from all over the world. That's really one of the strengths at Good Grief Network, is that we're a community that we really try to have a large online presence, because we want anyone anywhere who needs or wants this or is feel called to offer this to come into our space and have a, a place to come into. And so what we really do is we come to our facilitators and we say, how can we best support you to offer this to the people that you know, to the people that you know that need it most or that want it most? And we realized that that really takes, one, a little bit of facilitators understanding their own communities and the places that they come from. But two, also the adaptability to understand that, maybe what we're doing in certain parts of the world aren't going to work in other parts of the world. Um, but as you mentioned, at its core, we are humans with feelings about where we live. That can be universally understood. And so we try to come back to that and remember that we're just trying to be honest and vulnerable and brave in the fact that we're doing that. And so heavy reliance on our facilitators, but then also our good grievers, the folks who come into our spaces and say, I need this, I want this. We honor that, we honor and welcome that. And we also say, how can we better serve you? We will often have, or we're trying to have more what we're calling culturally responsive teaching assistants. So folks that are in the room, perhaps especially in a group where we're not all the same shared identity, we all have different experiences. And it's important and valuable to not only feel that you can bravely show up in that space and be vulnerable in your experiences, but then also there is someone there who can help navigate if, it's someone else's first time. And as humans, we make mistakes. What's important is, after we make that mistake, what does repair look like? And can we be able to go down a path of repair that honors the people involved? And so those are a little bit of what we're trying at Good Grief Network, knowing that it's a process, that we will continue to adapt and learn what it is people most need when talking and feeling uh, the feelings related to the poly crisis.
Uh, Thank you so much for answering this question. I have another question for you that comes from negative emotions, as we were discussing just in the beginning. And I would really appreciate if you could give some example. Of course, theoretically, if you can explain, well and good, but because examples are very easy to understand. So my question is about those emotions which, as a society, we label negative emotions or not socially acceptable emotions like envy, shame, or some sort of hidden resentment towards someone. They often, sit under grief. And how does your model help participants name and process those harder to admit emotions?
Yes, that's a great question, because the emotions that might be difficult to face. And at Good Grief Network, we try to invite folks into the space. And even if they are feeling that shame, that negativity, that those difficult to process emotions, we emphasize, one, they're not necessarily bad. There is no, quote, bad way to feel. We emphasize the idea of, we're not here to fix you. No one's here to fix you. We're here to hold you. We're here to witness you. We're here to be there for you when you feel ready to share. Sometimes may step into a space, and maybe it's just the way you feel that day. Maybe it's the way you've been feeling for a long time. You're not ready to share. You just want to listen. You just want to be able to say, I'm here, I'm with people who get it, and I want to just be in this space. And that is welcome too. And so we acknowledge that for folks who come through our spaces, that one, we're all at our own journey that takes its own time, and that showing up, one, is the first step. It's sometimes the hardest step, and sometimes even the biggest step. So the fact that folks even just show up, it's honored, it's welcomed, and it's acknowledged for what it is, which is sometimes a really hard thing to do. But two, especially when sometimes those emotions that are hard to process and feel like it's too heavy to hold by yourself, witnessing others in their bravery and expressing them and crying. Sometimes we just hold cry spaces. We get together, we cry. Sometimes we get together and we externalize our rage. We scream, we shout, we find ways to release it in a way that minimizes harm, because those emotions aren't inherently bad. It's ultimately how we act when we feel those things, that if we do act in a way that causes harm, how do we seek repair? How can we seek repair in a way that honors the individual or communities or group that is hurt, but then also honors the fact that we mess up, we make mistakes. Those mistakes are perhaps coming from a place of we're trying to cope with what's happening. Um, and so really holding the importance of not trying to fix each other in our emotions, and also the importance of we're humans, we make mistakes. How do we repair? How can we find a path for repair?
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Julia. I think that's a super important point, is that repair in community. Thank you for your presentation and for taking us a little bit deeper into community and community building, even from a multicultural perspective. And I think, as Violeta mentioned, we really are a social species, and we kind of forget that we're neurobiologically wired for community. In our isolation, we've forgotten that we're a social species. And so I think we are remembering how to be in community, and that we're actually all walking each other home. So I find also that in crisis, like especially Slovenia experienced some floods a couple of years ago, and there's lots of fires. But what we are relearning or remembering is how to support one another, how to help, because we're social, we want to help, but I think very often we don't know what that language is. We don't know how to help. The person that's in crisis also doesn't know how to ask. So that's where this amazing vulnerability comes in. And the more we have safe spaces that just normalize this for people, I think that that's where we start to remember how to be in community, in social circles. So thank you so much for sharing all about your community with us.